Time for another exciting edition of The Real K&C. Ken Laird in Boston.
Chris Curtis at JetBlue Park here in sunny Fort Myers.
You've had to schlep around for an hour. This is embarrassing. Wait for Lou Merloni to put the headsets down so we can do a post-show podcast, Chris.
I have big balls.
Oh, man, I've just been hanging out with Doug Lane.
Who cares about Lieutenant Doug Lane?
He's been showing me the ropes. Just showed me one of the new cameras in the Nesson camera well.
I saw tears in the eyes of some of the photographers.
It was riveting, exciting, and entertaining.
It's a fascinating metaphor.
Kind of like our show today, I would say. Guest heavy, sporty heavy.
Sporty Jerry.
This was unlike many shows we've done. Kind of actually, based on Kirk's temperament at the end of it, makes me think this is the last year that K&C will be on location at JetBlue Park. I can see an OMF.
Are you ready?
Arriving at JetBlue next year. How about you?
Well, actually, after the show, Kirk and Benintendi went to lunch.
Oh, well,
and
that's it.
They are
I'm just expecting, to win games, and that's what I'm going to try to do.
just really enjoying each other's company. They're actually going to be doing a podcast to air next week. Kirk obviously has the big one with Ordway today.
Somebody wipe my ass.
But, yeah,
The Minnie and Benny show?
the Minnie and Benny show.
Most guys just call me Benny.
Benny.
Yeah.
The line of the week goes to Drellich when he asked, "What are we doing here?"
Why are you here?
and Kirk said it yesterday. He goes, "It's a great point. I don't know. I mean, these
Well,
players-
this is a legacy thing, right? This is a Dennis and Callahan rite of passage to spring.
One of our favorite segments. It's our media roundtable.
This was a Dino special. I mean,
Right.
he would already be on the fifth hole and be out the door at 9:52.
Oh, tomorrow's show would be in the bag by now, right?
What don't we see coming, Tom Karen?
Oh, we'd do the first segment tomorrow and tape a close and be out of here. He'd already be at the airport for his 2:00 flight.
Shove that up your nose.
But no, yeah, this was a Dino special. He loved to come down here. I mean, he lives here. He loved the golf. He liked to be seen. He wanted the warm weather to get away with, whoever.
Miss Porter, school person.
And, this was definitely a legacy and something that John really was obsessed with.
Well, I'm a baseball guy. I enjoyed the Chris Sale interview immensely.
What do you guys need from me? What are you looking for? What do we need?
I like Dombrowski. I thought he was pretty solid today from a baseball point of view. Others, we got the reaction that you would expect. If you don't like baseball, you're going to hate baseball interviews.
Wow, was that a bomb?
I can't even defend Benintendi. He's my guy. I love him. I think he's a future Hall of Famer. But I cringed when I heard he was coming on because as you know, I was the first to interview him last year at camp.
Have not heard that.
He's really something, isn't he?
I could see this coming. There's just not a whole lot there he's going to give you from the personality side.
I've got great teammates and good coaching staff.
The second best line of the week was Kirk's "Oh boy."
Oh boy.
Well, my favorite spot's being in the big leagues. So,
Oh, boy.
Oh yeah, that was. I'm not even sure he's aware that he dropped that in the middle of the interview, but.
That's like my nervous tick. I don't even know when I do it.
What about you, Chris? Are you an Emma Stone fan?
I'm up and down on Emma.
What was that?
And I think when Kirk realizes an interview is going to suck, he just sort of gutturally reacts, "Oh boy."
Oh, boy.
It was.
He's a nice guy. He's a really good guy. I mean, you can tell. He's a young guy who's new to the big leagues. I mean, he was an A-ball last year at the start of the season. He's jumped all the way up to the majors, and of course, he's Cliche City.
You and I have talked about it. The bottom of the pile is not a nice place to be. No, it's not.
Yeah, I was looking him up last night. Jerry wanted some dirt on the guy, and he was a good scorer in high school. And there was an interview with Arkansas at his media day in 2015. I clicked on it. It was almost verbatim. We could have just played that. They were asking him about the season, and he said, "Yeah, whatever Skip wants me to do." Yeah, just like boring.
He won the Golden Spikes
cliches.
Award. I don't know if you're aware of that, Chris.
Well, you're the Benintendi historian, Mr. Laird. So,
yeah,
I
Ohio
think
native, Cincinnati. Best Cincinnati high school player since Ken Griffey Jr., I think.
Whoa! Wow!
That's my take.
Who's second best?
Good call. Ian Happ, I think, last year was
Oh,
probably
I
the
like
best.
it.
Yeah.
You're just making stuff up.
Yeah, it's a right now I'm watching a little BP with Northeastern players admiring the Red Sox. It's very exciting, but I'm in a spot that should currently be occupied by Jerry Callahan with Kirk Minahan next to me.
I'll pop up the second. Looks like Petey's going to take that himself. Calls off Hanley and makes the catch 2 down.
78 degrees and sunny. I think they're expecting to cool off later.
A little treat for you guys in the
Kirk.
sixth inning. If you like words that rhyme, my friend Dickie Flavin's going to pop up and give us some poetry.
He's got a new poem.
Yep.
He is poet laureate, and I'm looking forward to tomorrow. A treat for everybody. Kirk Minahan's going to sing "Wing Beneath My Wings."
Get a little grumbly in your tumbly, so do I. Jenny Johnson and Billy Costa come up on the food show on Nesson, Jerry, and talk to us about some delicious things you could do with your eggplant.
The best part of today's show, Thursday's show, before we revisit Wednesdays, which, of course, we skipped the post-show podcast. My fault.
Yeah, good job by Ken. The baby's head better be sticking out if he's going to be that distracted.
I think Jim the Caller was the best part of today's show. It was a 2-minute, so bad it was good. We skipped headlines to go right to the phones because Jerry loves the bank lines. You know, he loves to take the phone calls. And sure enough, one of the first callers out of the gate is electric.
Go to the calls because they're lined up.
So we're not going to do any headlines.
Let's go to Jim in Attleboro. Jim, what's going on?
All the quarterbacks that have 4, 3 Super Bowls. Then
Only 2 more points after this one?
You look at the salary cap.
We got another point, Jimmy?
In the era salary cap.
Oh, you said that already. Help! Help! Jim!
What did you think of the decision to skip headlines for Jim the Caller?
You know me, I can't get enough NFL cap talk from callers. It's almost as good as breaking down the center from the Magic and seeing what second-round protected pick from the Nets we can send for them. So I liked it. I thought Minahan was actually going to follow through and jump out of this window. It would have been interesting because it's not too big a jump. It's probably 12 feet, but there's a bunch of seats. So it would have been probably a trip to the hospital, but not death. And I think Minahan would have been willing to endure that for that call. But it was one of those mornings, Ken, where we were all over the place with the clock because with Drellich, we had to do Drellich. I think it was good to do Drellich.
We replayed him for those who aren't aware at 6:30 today. Yeah.
Right, replaying him was the right call. It was perfectly edited by you, and we got all the good parts in. But you couldn't get rid of too much of that because it was so good.
It was 35 minutes unedited. We had to get it down to 20, and it was tough. It was a tough call.
We call it showing a lot of pain.
But yeah, it was that phone call into Benintendi really was the sign of the show today. Kirk jumping out the window.
Well, let's go back to the John Steigerwald interview now. This is my old co-host in Pittsburgh. We talked about it on the post show Tuesday. I wasn't quite sure how it would go. Quite frankly, I thought there was a 50-50 chance Stag would hang up on them. But they actually, I would say Kirk and Jerry had some, I would say kid gloves. They really let Stag talk and give his side of it. Some of the callers felt they weren't tough enough on him. What'd you think?
Well, if there's one thing we know about Kirk is that he respects his elders in the broadcast community. So,
but if there's a famous play here in Pittsburgh called 80 Slot Hook and Go, and it's the pass he threw to John Stallworth.
I think he saw Stag as a senior statesman and didn't want to go too crazy at him. And I also thought that he's dead wrong. He kept saying use the eyeball test, but I feel like
how do you argue that? You can't say that's wrong. That's just his opinion. I mean, he watched these guys play in the 70s.
Right, but my point is that if you watch Tom Brady and what Jerry's point today, if you saw what he did in the Super Bowl in the fourth quarter and you used your eyeball test, I mean, that was as great as you will ever see it.
But again, it's comparing eras. Like even Kirk acknowledged that it's almost impossible. How do you compare eras? I mean,
right. But I also thought that I think it was Jerry who had the stats since Spygate of Brady with 115 with 309 touchdowns, whatever it was, some insane stat, because Stag had referenced Spygate and that that had damaged his legacy. So anyway, I thought it was a pretty easy win.
It got Fred Smerlis to call off the air. Freddie called and said, hey, the Steelers had an offensive coordinator. He wanted to get on the air.
I could take Fred Smerlis to places where men would faint.
Really? I didn't know that.
No, I didn't even let you guys know. We probably should have. Maybe we should have doubled down and had another guest. I don't know. Just
too many voices.
Anyway, the phone lines did light up, of course, as expected. You get a Brady hater on the phone. And
yeah, I think that also if we had done that maybe like the Monday after the Super Bowl or in the week leading up to the Super Bowl, it would have been a little bit more, feisty. But I feel like we're down here. It's sunny. It's we're at a baseball stadium. I don't think it was the scene to really get jump ugly on the guy.
You don't think Michael Vick was better, do you?
No. You see, this is another stupid comment, guys.
The rest of the show was kind of a dick around montage. We had Dino drops just to try to carry us through the 9 o'clock hour.
Well, there will be a learning curve. Will it have an effect of A.J. Brzezinski's?
Those are so good. I loved how Kirk's like, oh, we're having a conversation with Dino. All right.
I do. I've heard that.
All right, who's the tallest?
The tallest is Chris Sale, isn't he, or is he not?
This is great. We're doing a segment with Dino. We have any other questions?
I know. He was there. The first segment was a poop sandwich.
Peanut butter and poop sandwich.
Of Bomani and Jamel Hill, and, we threw everything in there. But I think the defining thing of the week is going to be that Evan Drellich interview. You were there Wednesday to witness it in person. I guess there's some debate as to who was rattled and who wasn't. What was your perspective on Drellich and his demeanor and that 35 minutes of wildness?
He was already a little rattled the night before. I saw him out to dinner when I was out with the Red Sox PR and the media members, and he was eating with Bradford, as Kirk mentioned on the show. And he was asking me, he's like, what is it going to be like? I just want to be able to get a word in.
Are you going to let me talk?
He was amped.
Yeah, and then he showed up about 5 minutes early, and I kind of was like, all right, because we just broke for the top of the hour, and I thought it'd be kind of shitty if he just sat in the room with them the whole time.
Yeah.
So I said, all right, come back in a couple minutes. He came back, he sat down, and he was like he had just had 16 Red Bulls, just ready to go.
You sit there and criticize the beat and call us ridiculous all the time.
It was great. I was waiting for him to sort of have that sort of decline in intensity or, wear down a bit, but he kept coming. About 15 minutes in, I was like, oh, it's going to start to, wear off a bit here, and then he went right back at him.
Be better. Try harder.
And
ask better questions.
write about.
As compelling segment as I think I've seen on the show in my 3-4 years working here. I don't know. How was your take back there?
Well, like Jerry said that yesterday on Twitter, it was the wildest interview moments, interview in KNC history.
Great.
Which we don't go back that far, just a couple of months. I guess that's true. It feels like we've done a lot of good stuff. And even Kirk admitted he awarded the interview to Drellich in a sense. He gave him the 10-9 victory, right, 1-on-2. And I think you got to give him his props. They loved that, So it was awesome. I couldn't believe it sustained for that long. Like you said, I think that's the big thing. The energy level and the fighting for about 30 minutes straight was awesome.
Terrible interview yesterday. Why don't you push a little bit more?
Which Red Sox player is the biggest dink?
In there?
Not bad. How about another guy? Stop ripping him. It's getting uncomfortable. God, you got a lot of balls. Stop! You can cost yourself your job. That's 9 guys already.
There isn't somebody who said, get over yourself.
Both of John's grandfathers were mayors.
Nobody had ever written the profile of the man. That's pathetic.
Yeah, at one point, Jerry just looked at me like, what are we going to do? I was like, just keep it going. Who cares? We'll figure it out.
Oh, the clock was shattered.
Oh, God. But the other thing is that the thing that really, really pissed Drellich off was that whenever Drellich would sort of go, attack about the questions that Jerry and Kirk asked Farrell, Kirk would sort of flip open his lobsterman story and be like, and he had hands as a fisherman.
That
and
was
he was
beautifully done.
Guest on the Water one day offered sunscreen to a man who had the use of just one hand.
It's a feature story in the World Series.
Talk about a natural-born leader.
You think
both of John's grandfathers were mayors.
Nobody had ever written the profile of the man.
And he'd like stomp his feet and just start flailing his arms. It was great. And then after the interview, he walks in, as Kirk has mentioned, he walks into the press room, and they're, like, canonizing him. They're, like, giving him high fives.
He's a genius.
He's doing shots out of guys' asses. It was, like, the craziest
Oh,
scene
Reber was there. Nice.
Oh, Reber came down.
Get a little vodka. I think this was Grey Goose, maybe.
Nice.
Pour it down your spine.
I don't know if Pete knows this, but he flew down on Rectrix, and he's got a suite down the street here. So Reber's enjoying his time in Fort Myers, but yeah, it was talk about a massive moment. And it only got played once today because of the craziness, but the Toucher and Rich rejoin you did was awesome.
I've gotten more Twitter followers out of my visits to Toucher and Rich than this, I'll tell you that.
Awesome. Wow.
Evan Drellich writes about the Red Sox in the Boston Herald. He joins us on the AT&T Expert Hotline. Hello, Evan. What did you think of Dombrowski's comments about Farrell? Did you think that he was at all insulting when he was talking about his in-game managing?
I actually asked that question.
What's wrong with you? What is wrong with you? Why are you so afraid? Why are you so scared?
What am I
scared
of?
Guy?
All right, we've had a lot of callers call up, and they've taken issue with the right, left lineup. What is your opinion on that?
Why haven't you asked him that question? It's the worst movie made last year. Do your goddamn job and ask him the question, you
All right, Evan Drellich from the Boston Herald. Thank you so much for the time, sir.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
Good stuff. Appreciate it.
Very well done.
I think it was similar to Rich Keefe's response to the guys in the back and forth yesterday with Pete Shepard. I don't know about you. Energy level similar?
God. By the way, that. What happened to him? What's he matter with me for? Oh, it's just feel be complimented because he thinks you threw him under the bus. That's okay.
I threw him under the bus?
Yeah, I think you threw him under the bus. Yeah, you heard it. Don't act like you didn't hear it.
I swear to God, I honestly didn't hear it.
I gotta say, I like Rich. I've known him, a long time. I used to work with him. You gotta do better than that. You can't just sit there and say you didn't hear about it.
Really?
Yeah, no, I didn't. And nobody told me about it. I missed it completely.
His Twitter timeline was full of Boogie Cousins trade requests.
Boogie! Going to the New Orleans Pelicans.
Boogie!
But also, the Kirk Minahan comments. He freaking eviscerated him yesterday morning.
I hate Rich Keefe. I hate Rich Keefe's guts. Sorry, Rich Keefe. This is how you do radio. You do Keefer Madness and have the best NBA talk in the city.
Keefer Madness.
And he's sitting there, and he's telling Pete at 6:15, I was listening to it last night, that he hadn't heard about it.
That's terrible.
You're in the Minahan poop list.
Why? For what? Is he making something up, maybe?
No.
That's like Butt and the Leroy Street situation.
I am Switzerland when it comes to Leroy Street.
Just dodging it, try to avoid it.
Yeah, you can't play Switzerland with Minahan. That is one thing you cannot do.
Even if he hadn't heard the segment verbatim, because like you, there's no way he could have avoided secondhand hearing that he was being bashed. At least just say to the producer, "Okay, let's hear it. Let's play it," and then listen to it and react to it. That's quite frankly, that's Ben Kitchen's fault too. He should have that forced on them in their show in the afternoon.
It's embarrassing that they didn't play 1 fucking second of the Evan Drellich stuff.
It's an embarrassment.
That was on the front page of the Boston Herald, and it wasn't on our air from 2 to 6.
Yeah.
Think about that. It was on the front page of a newspaper in Boston, but it wasn't covered in our afternoon drive from 2 to 6. How do you not talk about that? I know it's their thing, and I know it's Dale's thing to be
they
like,
feel
I'm
like they're above the fray.
fray.
Exactly right. 100%.
Look at what works and what doesn't. It's pretty clear. You have evidence in front of you. And if you don't want to engage in this, if you don't want to be a part of what works now in sports talk radio, then don't do it.
Well, what the weird thing is, Dale did come at them for throwing Merlone under the bus.
So he did say to Kirk, he said, in response to your criticism, but isn't it in response to Lou's criticism? Isn't what Kirk saying wasn't he saying how Lou formulated that?
Yeah, that was the only part I didn't like.
The day before. So, great. Like, that was encouraging to me. That started the whole Rich Keefe rant in the first place from Kirk, right?
Right, but the thing.
So why won't they follow it up day after day? They dip their toe in the water. They just don't want to do it.
Because they don't want to acknowledge that what works is what we do. Because to them, they're above it. And so by them playing the Drellich sound is some tacit approval of us doing it. Because they don't think it's good. They don't think it's appropriate. Whatever. I don't know. I just know that it is beyond embarrassing.
Yes, I'm very embarrassed by it.
For a tabloid newspaper to cover something that was aired on our show, and the afternoon program that currently airs 2 to 6 on our station doesn't even play a drop of sound from it. And then not even to mention the Rich Keefe thing. I thought Pete did a great job. He opened the show. He said, what do you think about Minahan? Obviously, I'm expecting that he would have a comment about it.
Right.
And gave him ample opportunity to react to it. And if I'm Keefe there, I say, as you said, play it for me. Okay. I don't want to play telephone and have you tell me and misconstrue what was said. Play it for me and I'll react. And it never happened.
By the way, who knew Keefe was on Mutt at Night anyway? That's a surprise to me.
Well, all right, Mutt's coming in next year. WEEI.
That's true. They don't talk about Drellich and they don't talk about Mutt at Night. Those are 2 things they don't do 2 to 6.
Anyway, it's been a wild, fun couple of days. Yesterday was better than today, but today was so bad it was good in a lot of senses.
Oh, and a quick programming note, if I may. Dave O'Brien is 9:30 tomorrow.
Not going to give you credit. You only used the media guide 3 times during this interview. Congratulations.
Okay.
Which I figure will be the one-man media roundtable.
Whoa.
We can close the week with.
Will he read from the media guide?
If you're around Xander for any length of time, you're going to get a hug.
Hold on. I'm on page 73. Let's see. John Farrell, relationship status. Single. Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes, Moran. That's her name. Remember it.
Fair name. That was the new favorite line by Jerry. Last night we were out to dinner and they did the exact thing on the air this morning. They couldn't stop laughing at Evan Drellich repeating their name.
I'm not
Say it.
Say it.
How was the free meal last night?
Oh, it was excellent. It was not quite as good as my steak that was Jerry bought me that I think was $260 in Houston, but this was very good. Service down here is a little odd. The people in Florida are not I'm no Mensa candidate. Are you a member of the LGBT community? But not the brightest bulbs in the tree. But we had a nice meal. Very good piece of ribeye for me. Jerry and I shared some mushroom and onion side dish. Very romantic. And Kirk stayed alone with his filet. But it was a very good meal. They came. We had no idea. We're sort of guessing what are we going to order. We didn't know if it was fully taken care of. And then at about right when they cleared the table, she said, "Oh, the manager said this is on the house." So completely free. And then like 3 monkeys, we tried to figure out what we should tip, but that only took about 15 minutes, and then we got out of there. So, Kirk and Jerry were arguing because Kirk had to break at 20, and Jerry, it was just this whole to-do, and I'm like, I just want to go to bed. But it finally got taken care of. And one more thing. They always say I'm boring. I'm curious.
About what? About what?
I'm curious about this election cycle, about how Donald Trump is still able to survive 500 different gaffes. That piques my interest. I'm following it closely.
Well, when I used to be here, they complained that I talked too much radio and that I was talking ratings and that I was annoying. So, in my opinion,
So you stayed quiet?
I stay quiet. I mean, isn't that what they were insinuating?
You respect
They
your
want me
elders. You got to listen to Jerry's stories, you know?
Exactly. Oh, my God. I love it. You know you ever went skydiving?
No, I never heard that.
If I started telling a story.
It's pretty crazy. But anyway, yeah, it was a nice dinner. I enjoyed it. I think
Well,
Mexicans
thanks to the
held it down.
Longhorn folk, including Eric and Milbury, right, who made it happen.
Yes, Eric and Milbury, and for setting it up, and dinner was excellent. It was a fun night out, I think. We're doing unfortunately, the guys were supposed to plead with certain restaurant chains on the show today to ask for a free meal. Nobody, they forgot to mention that, so I think we're going to have to buy dinner tonight. I think we're going for Mexican tonight.
I had the other night, I had Kentucky Fried Chicken. Not the worst thing in the world.
Close out the week with some Mexican food in Fort Myers.
Anything else I should know? My request for Dave O'Brien, by the way, was can you get him to actually read from the media guide tomorrow? Just a passage. I would like that. I think that would be good for future audio purposes.
I will certainly pass along that request. I do know, though, that Neverett is planning to arrive around 5:45 and is just going to watch us do the show for 4 hours, leading up to his broadcast at 1. He's sort of going to take over the booth.
Your silly, sardonic shenanigans are not appreciated.
And I know he likes the media guides, but I'll try and find one that we can use.
All right, enjoy your final night. We can't get these Benintendi interviews with you guys staying here, so I appreciate you being on the road, Chris.
I'm going to bust my butt.
I hope to win him back. I want to work my butt off.
To get Andrew Benintendi as a weekly guest for Kirk and Callahan.
I think it could happen.
Oh, boy.
All right, kid. Have a good day.
All right, talk to you tomorrow.